So to sharpen our chisel blades, we don't need anything real fancy, sharpening systems, grinding wheels, all that. Just wet and dry sandpaper. I'm going to start with a 200, and then I'm going to go with a 320, an 800, and then this one here is a 2000, really fine 2000 grit. When you're buying your sandpaper, it's a bit of an expense up front, but if you can go to your auto body shops where they sell to the tradesmen, and where actually you can get a decent quantity, you just get it for pennies compared to getting the 3 or 4 sheets you get at the hardware stores. I always buy my sandpaper in bulk like that. You know, you can cut this into quarters when you're doing your chisels, and get each time you sharpen, you can get a fresh sandpaper, which is really nice, really good, and a piece of glass. So you can just get a piece of glass anywhere. This is the same glass I use for sharpening my planer blades and all that. So we'll take our coarse sandpaper, our 320, and I have had pretty good luck with just getting this wet. It seems to stick on there by itself pretty good. I used adhesive the first time I did it, and I didn't really like the adhesive because it kind of left bumps on the backside. There was a thickness to it that may affect the blade. Paul Sellers, he says he likes to use Windex, and I'm using that. I don't know if it's any better than water. Maybe. When I run out of that, I'm going to use water. So get it stuck down here, and if you get enough water on there, it really soaks in. It seems like it stays in place pretty good. It might move around a little bit, but for the most part, the very first thing we need to do is to flatten the back of our chisel. And we've got the 320 stuck on here. I find if you put water on there, or Windex, whatever you got, wet both sides, it seems to hold in place pretty good. So I'll bring this out to the edge, and we're going to lay this perfectly flat, and we're going to work this on that coarse paper, on that 200, putting pressure, holding it down flat. And then we're going to take a look at it and see how flat is our chisel. And so tell us where are we coming in contact with. So right here you can see where it's scratched. So we're touching there, there, and there. A little bit of a concave there, concave there. It doesn't matter. The only thing we want is that edge portion there flat, which is good. So we'll keep working this. Perfectly flat. So I just worked this chisel back and forth a few times, and that is dead flat right there. That's actually a really fantastic machining from the factory. It's the whole thing's just covered. I mean, maybe a little convict. I can't say it. I think it's pretty much perfectly flat. So now we're going to repeat the process through all 4 grits of our paper. All right, so here's fast forward to the just finished up with the 800, and you'll really start to see. Now you can see that polish on there. And there is, right there is a little bit of a low spot, little concave there. That's okay. That makes no difference whatsoever. But look at that mirror finish on there. That's really nice. So now we'll jump up and finish up with a 2000. So here, just finishing up with a 2000 there. You know, you're not going to have to go through this process every time. We're just flattening the backs of the chisels for the very first time. Once we do this, we won't have to ever do this again. We'll just simply work on the bevels. So while I'm doing this, now would be a good time to click the thumbs up button if you haven't done that already. You've got time still. It's right down there. All right, you ready to take a look? 2000. Yeah, now that's nice there, isn't it? Isn't that nice? Yeah, that's smooth. That's just mere polish. You see the low spot there? That's not going to hurt a thing. Don't pay any attention to it. The only thing that matters is just that end is sharp. We'll take our coarse sandpaper, our 320, and I have had pretty good luck with just getting this wet. It seems to stick on there by itself pretty good. I used adhesive the first time I did it, and I didn't really like the adhesive because it kind of left bumps on the backside. There was a thickness to it that may affect the blade. Paul Sellers, he says he likes to use Windex, and I'm using that. I don't know if it's any better than water. Maybe. When I run out of that, I'm going to use water. So So get it stuck down here, and if you get enough water on there, it really soaks in. It seems like it stays in place pretty good. It might move around a little bit, but for the most part. So our chisels, this is going to be pre-ground. It's going to be sharp. It's going to be at about a 30-degree angle. That's what we want. And so we can just tip that up on there. It takes a little practice, but don't sweat it. And we're just going to pull that back. Now this sandpaper is made for sanding Bondo for softer things. This super hard tool steel is gonna wear it out pretty quick. Ooh, that's toxic. Excuse me. So we want to start on one end, and you can feel it. As soon as you pass across that just a couple times, you'll feel it start getting smooth. And so I just kind of keep moving over and get a fresh piece or a fresh pass every time. That tool steel really knocks that edge down. So here we are, just right off the 220, right there. You can see, and boy, that's sharp. I mean, you could do serious work with that, but we're not going to stop there. Let's move on up, graduate on up. I can feel that burr on there. One thing I forgot to mention is before we go on to the next sandpaper, after each one, you can feel that wire on there. We'll take and lay this flat on here, very careful, and just give it a pull. And that will pull that burr up there. Yep, knocked it right off. Now I can feel it on the front. All right, so here we are off the 2000. Let's see how it looks. Beautiful. Just beautiful. Now we'll finish up. The last thing, we'll strop it on the leather with a polishing compound, and then we'll see how sharp it actually is. So this is my homemade leather strop here. I just have it glued down on a piece of hickory. Lots of you said that I put it on backwards. That may be the case. I have got the smooth side up. I don't know for sure. I look at the barber's strops that the barbers use for years and years, and they always use the smooth side. So I don't know if it's one of those things that if I'm right or wrong. I don't know that it makes that much difference, to be honest with you. Maybe it does. So there's a jeweler's rouge that you can use. I mentioned that on the restoring the plane. I've just got some metal polish, which is just basically a very, very fine grit. I don't know what grit it is. It could be 20,000, 40,000 grit. Very fine for polishing steel. And I have done the planer blades and one chisel this way already, so I can testify to the fact that it does indeed work. All right, so I'm going to put a lot of pressure on here and bevel side down, obviously, and I'm just going to polish this 60, 100 times. Indeed, that is sharp. That's 3/4 chisel there. That's not a kitchen knife or razor blade. Well, it's sharp, I'll tell you that. So it's really quite impressive what a really sharp chisel can do, and the finish it leaves here. You can see here, just from just pressure from my hands. The impressive thing is the finish that it leaves behind. That there, it's as smooth as glass. Wouldn't even need to sand it. So the handle's pretty straightforward. The good 320, little 320 grit. It doesn't take long. Actually, the coating on there is there's not a lot on there, so it comes off. You can see right, it starts coming off right away. So I debated whether to, when I bought these chisels, I mean, $80 is a lot of money for chisels, whether just restoring some old ones, like I had done with this 1/4 inch keen cutter. And I've been watching for months and months trying to find a set of these, and they're hard to come by, and a lot of them are worn out and they've been hammered on and the head's all mashed. And that, I like to do that, you know, I like to restore the old tools, but I also kind of wanted a set of chisels that were matching. So I had that consistency with handles, and when I grabbed a 1/4 inch or I grabbed a 1/2 or 1 inch, that it felt the same in my hand, and I just didn't feel like I was getting much traction on finding a used set. And the ones that were sold in entire sets were just out of my price range. So that's kind of why I decided to go with new chisels instead of restoring old. And the old chisels, it wasn't any cheaper. It actually cost more when you buy them one at a time. You know, talking about buying them on eBay or where else. That's pretty much the main place you go for that stuff. By the time you pay shipping and all that, you're probably more. From the prices that I was looking at, by maybe 50%, maybe even more than that, maybe double of what it cost to buy a new set of these Stanleys. So that's kind of what I was thinking and why I made the decision that I did. And I'm not at all unhappy with it. I really like these chisels. Really like them. I'd buy them again. So we'll just finish this up here. Get all that hateful varnish off of there. You know, you want to watch a really good video. It's on YouTube. Those of you guys who don't watch TED Talk, you should go to that channel. I think it's a talk by experts in all different types of fields. Very interesting stuff. And I believe they have to keep their talk under 18 minutes or so. But there's one out there. You can search it. It's a TED Talk from the guy who bought Grand Force Brooks. Not that long ago, a few years back. And it was a failing axe company, and they were producing really low quality products. And he completely revolutionized the whole axe industry and how axes are made. What was happening was they were using a bunch of processes that weren't necessary, like painting the axes and epoxying the heads and all these things, and producing a really not a great quality axe, just a cheapo axe, but it had a lot of processes. It was pretty complicated with all that. And so he stripped all that away. And he also made the guys who were forging the axes accountable. See how it used to be is they would do shoddy work and keep pushing it down the line. It was up to the last guy at the very end of the line to try to make the thing have some semblance of what an axe is supposed to look like. There was no accountability. So he implemented and started making guys put their maker's mark on it. That's why every Grand Force Brooks axe is stamped by the guy who forged it. Accountability. A really fascinating story. If you can find that talk, it's really worth watching. All right, I think that's pretty much it. So let's put some BLO on there and see how it turned out. Just need a little bit here. Oh, you safety Sally's gonna tell me to wear gloves. I know. Just a little bit for a second. I've had your hands in worse. That looks better, doesn't it? Good shaped handle. This whole sharpening process is really a pleasure. I enjoy doing it. It's just so relaxing. One thing I'll do when I finish is with my fine woodworking tools and my really special tools is I have become a real big fan of this Wranglerstar protectant. A lot of people use it on their guns. It works so good, especially in my shop where it's non-toxic, so you can contact it with your skin. Where there's a lot of moisture. You know, we live in the Pacific Northwest, there's a lot of moisture here. And so when you put these tools, and if you don't use them and your shop's not heated for a while, if they're going to sit in this, especially in the leather, they'll rust. It just takes a moment. I keep that can in my shop here. I'll just wipe them down. And then I don't have to worry about it. Then it's just all done, especially on the vices, you know, or the planes. I had this plane sitting just here while I was sharpening. I just got done using it and I set it down there, and some of the overspray from that window cleaner got on there on the side, and it immediately, I could see it starting to get gray with rust. And so I knocked it off with a steel wool, and I'll coat it here.
Sharpening chisels is a bit of a detour from our poor man's carpenter bench project, but I think it's part of it, so I'll include it in the playlist because it's important. So, I'd like to wish a happy birthday to Jim Beckman. Your beautiful wife, Naomi, contacted me through Facebook and told me it was your birthday today, and since you have such a big family, 10, 8, and 4, it's probably the only gift that you're going to get, for what it's worth. So happy birthday, Jim, and to the Beckman family, and thank you so much for watching the videos. Speaking of videos, I've got some blast from the past videos. The top left is Mrs. Wranglerstar teaching you how to make your very own laundry detergent. We use that here, and it saves a ton of money, and I think it does a better job. Top right is doing a little brass brazing, repairing a broken piece of cast handle from my wood stove in my wood shop. And bottom left is my very favorite axe sheath, the wonderful handmade Grizzly Peak Enterprises sheaths made in Idaho that I just love. That would be a great gift for you wives looking for something for your husband. And bottom right is kind of a fun video. I make a little fun of all the trouble it takes sometimes to use power tools for jobs that could be simply done using the old methods. So a lot of people didn't understand that video, and well, I don't know why it was controversial. It was just meant to be fun, but you watch and judge for yourself. So thanks for watching. If you wouldn't mind, take a moment, click the thumbs up. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys on the next video.